Do you mess up new patient phone calls in your practice? My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. I'm here with Alex Nottingham, founder and CEO of All Star Dental Academy, and his team has been sharing a fantastic resource with our Nacho community because I have been a dentist, Alex, for 20 years, a practice owner for 15 years, and mastering the new patient phone call, it is a work in progress, right? No one truly masters it, but you can make it better. Tell us about this resource your group has been sharing.
Yeah, it's a seven blunders, I believe, and
Yeah.
it did phenomenal. We were talking about it in the green room. It had got over 100 comments as we were speaking,
Yeah.
200 downloads or so. People, it's interesting, and I'll tell you a little bit about my story, but phone skills is tough. And
Yeah.
that's one of the most popular resources that we have is how do I get better on phone skills without being salesy and without scripting? How can we do it because as a dentist, we want to always do it ethically and
Yeah. I always say,
actually.
scripts can come off sometimes too robotic, but talking
Yep.
points are key. One of the
Yes.
things I can share with you, I was at the Dental Success Institute with my good friend Mark Costas this weekend. My
Oh,
brother
he's
and I are
great.
members, and we were talking in our group, our hot seat group, and one of the coaches said, I actually look for front desk team members that don't have dental experience. I have no problem hiring some off the street, which I think is great. And the and to that is if they don't know anything about handling a new patient phone call, they can be friendly, they can be good at talking, but they need these tips. So it sounds like this
Yes.
resource, people can text All Star to 215-543-6454. Anyone in the community is welcome to get this, Alex?
Yes. Anybody.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing value like that with us. Now, I want to hear a little bit about your story.
Mhm.
Love the name of your company. You signed up to help dentists. I always say this, Alex, at dentists, we go to school to be professionally weird, right? Okay. When most of our friends are networking or in the real world, we are in basements burning ourselves with hot wax. So when we come out of dental school, we do not exercise our social muscles. We got a lot of problems. And then we have amazing companies that sign up to help us, whether it's practice management, whether it's with clinical procedures. So how did you get into dental and sign up to help this group of people?
Well, I grew up with a dentist. My father, he's a
Oh,
dentist.
awesome.
And ever since I was a little pup, he said, son, don't be a dentist. Because so to give some background, my father's Panky trained dentist. He worked with the Extreme Makeover Lab, was their top dentist for the Extreme Makeover Lab, and he just found that he wasn't able to do the dentistry that he wanted to do. He was there to help patients do beautiful smiles, high-end cosmetic work. But then you had the insurance companies that were really putting a lot of pressure, corporate dentistry, and he's like, the people that are making money and having a balanced life are not dentists, even though he loves it and he's still doing
Yeah.
it. He's 80 and he's still doing dentistry. He's
Wow.
retired, but he loves it. That's the thing. You can't take dentistry away from a dentist. They love it, but the business was a problem. So I was working for Tony Robbins. I got my law degree, my MBA, because my whole idea was to be a business person, run a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 1000 company, whatever. That was what I was built to do, not dentistry.
Yeah.
So while working for Tony Robbins, his business was facing bankruptcy. And I
Wow.
said, "Hey, Dad, can I help?" He says, "Well, sure. I need some help." So I took over his practice. This is before SEO was cool. I sent a ton of new business to his practice, but they weren't converting. The phone calls weren't converting. So my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, Heather, she was working for Bloomingdale's as a sales trainer, manager, all these things.
Yeah.
I took her out of there, put her in my father's practice. This goes to what you spoke about. Had no experience in dental.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do they do? Of course, the team throws her in, no training of no
Yeah.
and she's using all of her training from Bloomingdale's and when she studied the Ritz-Carlton because there's nothing else there. And we took a $1 million practice, brought it to 2.4 million in eight
Wow.
months.
I
Okay.
love that story. I want you to unpack a little thing, a few more
Yeah.
things. I always say, I don't interrupt. I just interject with with
Oh, I
brilliant
love it.
ideas. Ask my wife. Actually, don't ask her. Just take my word for it. But tell me, I know it's a long story, but just give me the summary. How was your dad, who was
Mhm.
an excellent clinician, facing
Yes.
bankruptcy? What was happening? It wasn't that he couldn't do a crown. It wasn't
No,
that he
it
couldn't
was
take someone like him.
terrible. It was terrible management of the business. They ran so a couple poor choice in business partner. He felt he had to get a business
Yeah.
partner because because of the insurance company pressure. The office manager my godmother, great person, but multiple consultants before me said she's not meant, she was a great
Yeah.
assistant, but not for manager. And they had like $300,000 in credit card debt. And
Yes.
even though, and listen, my whole family are doctors. They're like, well, we're the best. They should come, the patients. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's not the best clinician where people come. You hope it's the case. That's important, but you have to market. And he didn't market. It was different. And years ago, you can open up a practice and patients would come. It doesn't work that way anymore. You have to
And
be a great marketer and a great clinician.
I've worked in the restaurant industry, and what I'll share is very similar. Some of the most commercially popular restaurants in Philadelphia, many of the top chefs wouldn't step foot in. They would go to sometimes hole in the wall place in a small community and eat a taco there. But they're the experts, right? But
Yeah,
the general public eating the food, they really enjoy these restaurants that maybe some of these top chefs don't consider to be the best food, right? And
right.
dentistry is very similar. No one can even taste your dentistry. So being the best is great for your patient care, but it actually can hamper your business. What was the transformation if you gave us the summary of the 1 to 2.4 million, inserting Heather, what were some of the things that happened to help with that?
Well, it's a lot like what we do at All Star, okay? Because I am maniacal about building businesses that work just in general. I was created because of that, because of my father's failure, which if he didn't fail, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
He always exposed me to business because that was weak for him. And so it's building the model, and the model is, and I do a whole program about the 5 steps in all-star practice, but what was it about that? Well, marketing was a small piece of it, but phone skills. That's, for example, that's number one. Phone skills and customer service,
Yeah.
as well as great vision and management. So we were able to provide that for the practice. And then we made the naive assumption. We said, most dentists or all dentists are like my dad. They're loving people. They want to make a difference and make a good income. They're not here to like sell or whatever. And could we help them with what we did? And so All Star Dental Academy was created because of that. And the reality is most dentists are like my dad. I will say this though, they're a lot better at business. Not to say a lot. They're better than even he was. Okay, so the bar was low with my father, but they all need help when it comes to business, phone skills, and so on. And ever since we launched, we're member benefits and business partners with
That's good.
the Academy of General Dentistry, the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, the Dawson uh, Institute, and so on, Dawson Academy, amongst others. So it's this naive assumption I had, but it's so true. The core of dentists that they love doing their wax ups, they love doing what I
Yeah.
call DDS, dull dental stuff. Now at
Yeah.
All Star, we don't teach DDS. That's your end, Paul. You're the dentist and
Yeah.
your clinical trainings. We do the business training, practice management, phone skills, case acceptance, scheduling. That's our cup of tea. That's
And
our
I love what you're sharing. So I was just on the plane. I always take this favorite book, and I believe that if you want to be a dentist, okay, and you're applying to dental school, I want to put this book in your hands, and if you read it and say, "I can do that," and learn this, move forward. If you don't want to do this, I tell you, do not apply to dental school. And that book is To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink,
mm,
because To Sell is Human by
true.
Daniel Pink, it tells you that to help people, you have to be able to sell your help, right? That's why I say if it doesn't
Yes.
help it. And if you're not comfortable with that, you literally should not be a dentist. You could be a medical doctor because medical doctors work inside hospitals and what we can, this is a long topic, but they kind of work for the government now, right? It's pretty much government
Well,
funded.
you could
So
be a dentist, but not a business owner.
And what the thing is, to be successful for most dentists, owning a practice is the North Star. And
Yeah.
there aren't as many options. Someone goes, "Oh, you don't have to be a practice owner. You could work for a dental school." There's only a few of those jobs. "Oh, you don't have to be a practice owner. You could work for a residency program." There's only a few. So this book, I believe,
Wow.
every dental student should read because it's interesting. We sell what people don't want. Not once in my time of being a dentist, Alex, I'm gonna say, "I'm so excited to get an implant. Can't wait to pay for it." They say, "Okay, I get it, Paul." And it's emotional on dentists. It probably was emotional for your dad. So I really compliment you on creating these systems. I love
Well,
what you're
well, and
okay.
and even with him, he was great with the patients. He
Right.
was wonderful with the patients, great heart. But you have to have the team around it. I was interviewing one of an extreme makeover dentist about 7 years ago, and he said to me, "My front office is the least paid, but the most important part of my
Yeah.
practice. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this type of treatment. So to me, I mean, like I said, dentist, or if you have that heart, you may not be cut out for the business side, but you got to be able to influence, you got to be able to lead, you got to be able to delegate, you got to be balancing the DDS, the adult dental stuff that you
Yeah.
love, with the business stuff, the MBA. I actually have an online MBA program in our online training course as well. But you got to be able to make sure you're balanced with respect to that. Work on your emotional intelligence, and
Yeah.
that's kind of through the lineup of what we do. Is we're really specialized in providing those opportunities. And the heart is, I just look at all of you. Uh, Paul, you're much more developed and running a great
Mm,
organization like Nachos. I mean, you're one
thanks.
of the very few that's a great businessman. But for every one of you, there's a million that need a lot of support and got to always be working. And you're living proof. You're saying you're reading the books, you're putting them into action, you're leading a team. So, dentists, you want to do great in business, you gotta, or in dental practice, it's got to be both. It's got to be business. And now the business, a lot of the business day-to-day stuff can be delegated, but the high level stuff, the visionary stuff, you have to embody
And
it.
I love what you're saying. I want to say this today for this recording, because this is very on brand, or we should call it on brand. And you can have a great team filled with superstars who are really good at their job
Yeah.
technically, Alex. And you would think that that team would be successful, but they can be in a state of disaster, because that team is the Philadelphia Eagles, the football team. They have
Or the Dolphins.
legitimately, yeah, or the Dolphins, five, and
Don't even go there. I don't want to go there.
they have a culture problem, they have a team
Yeah.
problem, and they have to fix that. So being technically excellent at catching or throwing a football is just part of it. So being technically
True.
excellent at being a crown is part of it. Now, as we wrap up, I love online stuff. I love online resources,
Yeah.
but I love just as much face-to-face interaction. You guys are having an event. Tell
Yeah.
people where this event is and what they're going to learn.
Yeah, let me run through quickly to the end, just so you give an overview. So you can go to
Yeah.
allstardentalacademy.com just to know who we are. We have our online training program. We were the first to do it. We're the best out there on phone skills, scheduling, practice management, case acceptance. We also have a coaching program, and you can read about it. Self-funding is one of our things, because we believe
Cool.
coaching should pay for itself. Okay,
Awesome.
within 90 days. I learned that with Tony Robbins. It doesn't pay, and it's got to be affordable. Do-it-yourself hiring service. This is where you and I kind of come. Paul's got an amazing service for helping to find associates, and we refer a lot to. We've been telling
Yeah.
everybody about what you do, because
Thanks.
we don't do associates. Got to go to Nachos for associates. Go to Paul. We do front office,
Great.
receptionists. We do, whether they have experience or not. We do hygienists, which are very difficult, but we do that as well. We do all of it to the very end, and provide you with onboarding support protocols, and we have dental experience. Everybody that hires has worked in a dental practice. So we're probably the very few that do that out there in a recruitment service. And then back to the event. We have every year, we have a practice growth summit. It's all focused on personal and business growth. It's the
Love
17th and
that.
18th I was telling you about in May, in sunny South Florida.
Cool.
And so we're going to have Rachel Walls coming, Dr. Paul Etchinson,
Cool. That's
Dr.
great.
Todd Snyder, top podcasters, top people in dentistry, Dr. Lauren Levine. So it's a star-studded class here for training. And if that's not enough, we have a leadership program that it's optional. You could take a phone skills boot camp all day on phone
Very
skills.
cool.
And we also have life mastery at the end, how to overcome burnout. Not to mention, Rachel Wall is going to be doing a special workshop with the hygienist. So we split up. So it's a great event, limited seating. A lot of great sponsors are coming. And we do it every year, but different speakers
Love
and
that. And can they
calls.
find that out about that on your website?
Yeah, you can go to allstardentalacademy.com or allstardentalevents.com. And the last two resources are our podcast. I'm going to have
Awesome.
Paul, you're coming to my podcast.
Yeah, sure.
I want to talk about you. So Paul's coming on. We have one of the top podcasts in dentistry, top 5 in dentistry. So Dental All Stars, and just a variety of great speakers on there. And of course, our website, we have like ebooks like the 7 Blunders that was very popular in Nachos. We also have a webinar I do, Dental Practice Excellence, where I tell you how to do how our great call phone process, broken
Cool.
appointments. All that's on allstardentalacademy.com.
I love this. I mean, being a dental practice owner, I said this the other day, I've owned a practice for 15 years. Since the pandemic, Alex, only about 20% of the people who work for me were there before the pandemic. And what that means is I had to
Mhm.
onboard and train a lot of new people. The dentists are there. We had one dentist change. the core team members that lead are there, but when we have the new assistants, new hygienists, new front desk team members, if you do not have an onboarding process like what you offer, you're going to drive yourself nacho nuts. That's a technical term for it. So I love that we're collaborating. Please text All-Star to 215-543-6454. Can't wait to see you in person and be on the podcast.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Alex.